I remember wanting revenge so bad after it had happened. You see, the attack from that day had left a unique imprint on me. And when I think about it now, I always think to myself, if only I had followed my instincts that day, I would have spared myself the trouble and the pain. So let me take you back to that day. It's 4 p.m., Conakry, Guinea. The African sun burned like fire with temperatures in the hundreds plus humidity. It was a quiet, relaxing day as usual. Everyone was out, including my mom and dad, and I was left in the compound where I would spend most of my time playing house when everyone was gone. I was just a little girl then, about 6 years old. On this particular day, I was playing chef by the side of the house underneath a little bush that provided shade. And I had quite a setup. I mean, I had collected empty sardine cans, soda bottles, water bottles from the dump, and I had also stolen coal from our neighbors to bring back with me for props for cooking. The menu for that day was greens and rice. And so for the greens, I used just the green leaves from the tree that I was playing under, or the bush I was playing under. And for the rice, I used sand. And I also had created stick dolls, just dolls made out of plain old sticks. You know, you cut a piece of stick and you put like grass on top of it to use to represent the hair or whatever. And yeah, those type of dolls. And so stick dolls. And I had them all lined up on a rock in front of me, facing me, watching me as I prepared them a meal. And then I took a white chalk and drew expressions on them to kind of make it look like they were eagerly waiting for me to serve them. You know, like I would draw like angry faces on some and, like crying faces on others. And I was just very creative like that. And I liked coming up with things like that on my own. And so I was just having fun playing chef. And things were just starting to sizzle when mom walked in. And mom had just came from the market from selling. And so when she came in, I tried to hide what I was doing and just sort of shoved everything in the bush because the thing is, mom hated it when I played with unsanitary things, especially things from the dump. And so I would always try to hide it from her whenever she came in. So I hid everything under the bush, went to go meet her, and when mom came home, that meant that it was time to prepare dinner. And so it was time to prepare dinner, but we didn't have coal. So mom sent me to go buy some. And there were two places that I could go. One was way, way, way down the street from us. The other one was a little bit close by. And so I didn't want to walk too far because it was really, really hot. And so I thought to myself, I would go to the one close by that I knew sold coal. And so I said, okay, mom gave me the money and said, go buy coal. And even though I didn't want to go to the one that I had settled on, I just thought to myself, it's all just a mind game. There's no reason to be afraid. And so, because of laziness, really, I convinced myself that there was nothing wrong with going to the one close by, even though I didn't want to. So, with the money for coal in one hand and a plastic bag for coal in the other, I started walking down this dusty road. And I made sure that I walked at a very steady pace because the sun was just so hot and it was humid and I was already tired and hungry, and so I just walked at a steady pace and just strolled down there. And as I got closer to my destination, things started to feel kind of weird because, for one, the sun had disappeared. Once I got to a certain area, the sun just disappeared, and it was a weird thing because it felt like I was in two places at once because in front of me was just gloomy with no sunlight or whatever, and all I saw were these big tall trees with long branches. I mean, they just covered the entire place, allowing no sunlight to even hit that area. So that whole area in front of me was dark. But then when I looked behind me, like the rest of the community was like well lit with sunlight. And so it was really spooky. And I felt like I was in two places at once. And so I'm looking back and then looking in front and looking back again and looking in front, and I'm like, it's just a mind game, and mom really needs the coal, she's gonna be upset if I don't come back with coal, and I don't want to walk too far. So I thought, nah, I'll just go. So I kept going and I kept walking and I kept walking in, and I got further in, and although it was spooky looking, like something you would see in a fairy tale, like it really was something you would see it looked like something you would see in a fairy tale, but still very spooky. But it was kind of cool at the same time because all you heard was like the sound of just the cool breeze. And then it felt really good because, I was sweating a little bit. And so the breeze kind of dried my sweat and it felt really good on my skin. And so I was like, this is spooky, but this is also kind of cool looking. Like, but I still kind of, went in with caution, like just very, very suspicious, like, ooh. And as I went further in, hidden behind the bushes was this big white house. I mean, big, big, big white house. Like, I would say maybe 4 stories. But you couldn't really see the white. Like, you could tell it was white, but it was not well taken care of. And it had like mold and all kinds of other stuff growing on it. And it looked like it had been caught on fire or something, like it had like burn marks on the side of it, like, and the paint was fading and it was dirty and the steps were dirty and just the whole area around it was dirty, and because it was all sand, like it was just this tall house, big house with sand, and a yard, but it was all covered in sand, and there was a well, and there were stairs, like I mentioned, but lots of stairs. I mean, a lot of stairs. But it was just a very filthy looking house and area, like most areas in Africa are, or in Guinea are. And so I saw it and I thought, okay, so, this is the house that I remember them selling coal here. And I know that they sell coal here. And so I started to approach it, and it looked abandoned, and I thought, maybe nobody lives here. But then, there were signs that, or I guess evidence that life existed there, because I saw like children's shoes scattered around, and I saw clothes hanging on the hanger, and then I saw a feet like sticking out on top through the entranceway, because there wasn't no door. It was just this entranceway, this square, big square, like a black square, no door or anything. And I could see these feet sort of moving. And so I thought, okay, there is somebody here. Like, and then there was also like off to the side, a couple bags of coal that looked like they had just been brought to be sold. And so I was like, okay, well, there is somebody here then. And I thought maybe they were just napping, which a lot of people do in Africa, like around a certain time of day, like the whole entire community will like take a nap. Like, it's really cool. And so I just thought, okay, maybe they're just, finishing up their nap or whatever. And so I started calling out, but then nobody answered. And so I thought, okay, well, they're probably just deep in sleep. And so I started calling out again, and nobody answered. Instead came this monkey around the corner, like just this wild looking monkey. I mean, this thing was scary. Like, it had sores on its head, and it was dirty looking, and it looked wild. And it just, I mean, the eyes were just this bloody red eyes, like, and it came around the corner, just slowly crept around the corner. and it just, really sneakily looking at me. And we locked eyes, and I froze. And this monkey like took its stance, and right away I knew I was in trouble. And so here I was standing with this monkey like in like this sort of attack mode, like ready to attack mode. And I'm standing there like, okay, what do I do? And he's looking at me and looking at the bag in my hand and looking at me again and then looking at the bag in my hand and starts to slowly approach me, like walking down the stairs. And at this time, my heart is racing fast, my little legs are shaking, and I'm like, I have to think fast. But it was like, okay, I can't run because if I run, like, I know he's going to chase me and attack me. But if I stay calm and stay there, it still looked like he was going to attack me. Either way, I mean, it was a lose-lose situation. So, he kept approaching me and he was getting closer and closer and closer. And I thought, okay, think fast, Melissa, what to do, what to do. And at the very last minute, I was like, screw it, I'm just going to book it. And so I started running, like I just started running for my life. I don't even know if where the money and the plastic bag went. I think they went off flying somewhere, but I just took off running. And as expected, this monkey took off after me and started like just chasing me. The monkey chased me all the way to the house, long story short. And I was so close to escaping it. But when I got before I could open the gate to the compound, like I felt the sharp teeth on my right butt cheeks. And I started crying immediately. Like I just started crying. I had been bitten by the monkey, and when the monkey bit me, it took off. And I mean, I was just crying. And I entered into the house. I cried all the way inside the house. And my right butt cheek was throbbing and it was bleeding a little bit. And oh, it was just horrible. Like I was just bawling my eyes out. And I came in and my mom was like, what happened? And I told her the story and she got so furious and she was like, I'm going to go and kill that monkey who bit my baby in the butt. And, off she went. And I was just crying and crying and crying. Well, she went to go confront the people at the house. Well, it turned out that they weren't the owners of the monkey. Nobody knew where the monkey came from. It was a wild monkey that just happened to be in the area that day. And so when she went back, it wasn't even there. Like it had probably gone to another area. And so, they were like, oh, we're sorry, like, but it's not our monkey and we don't really know where it came from. And so that's my narrative story of the monkey who bit me in the butt. And, it has left an imprint on me because I have a little mark on my butt cheek from that incident that I'll always remember. And I did feel upset, and I was like, that darn monkey, like, how dare it bite me in the butt and take off like that. And so I was pretty upset. I mean, I was a kid, but, I was still very upset and crying the whole time. And anyway, the moral of this story is, like I stated earlier, to always follow your instincts because no matter how small or big the situation is, and too often people ignore their instincts because like me, they go, oh, it's just my mind playing tricks on me. And, oh, I know that person, they won't do that. Like, I'm just being paranoid or, so-and-so won't hurt me. It's just my mind thinking that they will, but it's like, there's a reason why we have instincts. And I use this story as an example, and it's kind of a funny story, but the reason I use it was to make the point that, even if it's something small, or something minor, like say in my case, the incident with the monkey, even with stuff like that, as minor as that, you still have to pay attention to your instincts and follow them. Because had I paid attention to mine, I could have spared that bite on my butt. And so always follow your instincts no matter what. Trust your instincts and don't ignore them. Don't ignore them because as I got older, I really started paying attention to my instincts. And there was a really amazing woman in my life who really told me the importance or emphasized the importance of really following your instincts. And because of that, in doing so, I've managed to save myself a lot of trouble and I've managed to, sort of dodge a lot of situations that I could have gotten myself in really, really big trouble. But because of my instincts, I was able to say, I don't think I want to do that. That doesn't sound right. And so I've managed to stay away or not stay away, but just avoid a lot of bad situations because I was able to assess it and say, and based on what I felt about it, I was able to say, no, something is telling me that this is not right, and been able to dodge the bullet. So that is my message to everybody. Follow your instincts, big or small. Never underestimate them because they are important, and there's a reason why we have them in us. They're sort of our little security system thing, alarm, to alert us when something isn't right and to keep us out of danger. So that is the moral of the story. And until next time.